In ancient Israel, a time of turmoil and transition, the prophet Samuel was on a divine mission.
The current king, Saul, had fallen out of favor with God, and a new leader was needed to guide the nation.
Samuel traveled to Bethlehem, to the house of a man named Jesse, to find this chosen one.
Jesse presented his sons, one by one, each strong and impressive.
But God's choice was not among them. Samuel asked if there were any others.
Jesse mentioned his youngest, David, a shepherd boy out tending the flock.
When David was brought in, a ruddy and handsome youth, the Lord said to Samuel, "Arise, anoint him.
For this is the one." And so, in a humble home, away from the eyes of the court, the future king of Israel was anointed with oil, the Spirit of the Lord coming upon him from that day forward.
Meanwhile, King Saul was tormented by a distressing spirit. His servants suggested that music might soothe him and recommended the talented young shepherd from Bethlehem. David was brought to the royal court, and whenever the king was troubled, David would play his lyre, and Saul would find relief. David proved to be not just a musician, but a capable armor-bearer, earning a place in the king's service. But Israel's greatest threat loomed on the battlefield.
The Philistine army had gathered, and among them was a champion of fearsome size, a giant named Goliath.
For 40 days, Goliath taunted the Israelite army, challenging any man to single combat, but none dared to face him.
The entire army, including King Saul, was paralyzed with fear.
David, visiting his brothers at the battlefront, heard the giant's taunts and was indignant. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living God? He asked.
Filled not with arrogance, but with faith, David volunteered to fight Goliath.
King Saul was skeptical, seeing only a boy before a seasoned warrior. But David recounted how he had protected his sheep from lions and bears, trusting that the same God who delivered him then would deliver him. Refusing the king's heavy armor, David went to meet the giant armed only with his shepherd's staff, a sling, and 5 smooth stones from a brook. Goliath looked at the boy and cursed him, mocking his youthful appearance. David's reply echoed with unshakable faith. "You come to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts." As Goliath moved in for the kill, David placed a stone in his sling, swung it with all his might, and released.
The stone struck the giant's forehead, and he fell face down on the ground.
David had won an impossible victory, not with strength or armor, but with courage and faith.
This incredible feat made David a national hero. The people celebrated him, singing, "Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. This praise ignited a dangerous fire of jealousy in King Saul. Though David continued to serve him loyally, Saul saw him as a rival. In this tense environment, David found a true friend in Saul's son, Jonathan. They formed a deep bond, a covenant of friendship that would last their lifetimes. But Saul's jealousy turned to murderous rage. On 2 occasions, as David played the lyre, Saul hurled a spear at him, trying to pin him to the wall. With Jonathan's help, David confirmed that the king was intent on killing him. His life in the royal court was over. He was now a fugitive. David's years on the run were a time of great hardship and testing. He fled to the wilderness, gathering a band of loyal followers, misfits, debtors, and the discontented. They became a formidable company of men, with David as their leader. Saul relentlessly hunted him, pursuing him through the caves and deserts of Judea. Twice, David had the opportunity to kill Saul. Once, in a cave where Saul had gone to relieve himself, David secretly cut off a corner of the king's robe. Later, he snuck into Saul's camp at night and took his spear and water jug as he slept. Both times, David refused to harm the Lord's anointed, showing remarkable restraint and respect for the office of the king, even when the man holding it was his enemy. These acts demonstrated David's character and his trust in God's timing. The tragic reign of King Saul came to an end on the battlefield against the Philistines. Both Saul and his noble son Jonathan died in the battle. When the news reached David, he didn't rejoice. Instead, he mourned deeply for the king who had hunted him and for the beloved friend he had lost. His lament for Saul and Jonathan is one of the most moving poems in the Bible. With Saul gone, the path to the throne was open. The men of Judah came to Hebron and anointed David as their king. For 7 years, a civil war raged between the house of David and the house of Saul, but David's influence grew stronger and stronger. Eventually, all the tribes of Israel came to Hebron and recognized David as their rightful king, uniting the nation under his rule for the first time.
One of King David's first and most significant acts was to establish a new capital.
The city of Jerusalem, a stronghold of the Jebusites, was strategically located between the northern and southern tribes. It was considered impregnable.
But David's men, led by the daring Joab, found a way in through the water shaft and captured the city. David made Jerusalem his political and religious center, calling it the City of David. He brought the Ark of the Covenant, the symbol of God's presence, into the city with great celebration, dancing before the Lord with all his might. This act centralized worship and solidified the identity of Israel as a nation under one God and one king.
The kingdom flourished, expanding its borders and enjoying a period of unprecedented peace and prosperity.
Yet, at the height of his power, David committed a terrible sin that would cast a long shadow over his reign and his family.
One evening, from the roof of his palace, he saw a beautiful woman bathing.
Her name was Bathsheba, and she was the wife of Uriah the Hittite, one of David's most loyal soldiers, who was away at war. Consumed by lust, David sent for her, and they committed adultery. When Bathsheba became pregnant, David tried to cover up his sin.
He recalled Uriah from the front, hoping he would sleep with his wife. But Uriah's integrity was too great. Desperate, David sent a secret order to his general, Joab, to place Uriah in the fiercest part of the battle and then withdraw, ensuring his death. The plan worked. Uriah was killed, and after a period of mourning, David took Bathsheba as his wife.
He thought his sin was hidden, but nothing is hidden from God.
The prophet Nathan was sent to confront the king.
He told David a parable about a rich man who stole a poor man's only lamb to feed a guest.
David, filled with righteous anger, declared that the rich man deserved to die. Nathan's reply was chilling. "You are the man."
He laid bare David's sin, the adultery, the deception, the murder, struck to the heart. David did not make excuses.
He confessed immediately and profoundly, "I have sinned against the Lord." David's repentance was genuine and deep, as expressed in the heartfelt words of Psalm 51.
But repentance did not erase the consequences. Nathan prophesied that the sword would never depart from David's house.
The child born to Bathsheba died, and turmoil engulfed David's family.
His son Amnon assaulted his half-sister Tamar. In revenge, Tamar's brother Absalom murdered Amnon.
Absalom then fled, but later returned and orchestrated a rebellion, stealing the hearts of the people and forcing David to flee his own capital. The rebellion ended with Absalom's death, a victory that brought David no joy, only the grief of a father for his lost son. In his final years, David, though weakened by age and sorrow, worked to secure the kingdom's future.
He appointed his son Solomon as his successor, passing the torch to the next generation.
God made a covenant with David, promising that his throne and his kingdom would be established forever, a promise that his descendants would always rule.
This Davidic covenant became a cornerstone of hope for Israel, pointing toward a future messianic king who would come from David's line. David's legacy is complex.
He was a shepherd, a musician, a warrior, and a king.
He was a man of great faith and courage, but also a man who fell into grievous sin. His story is a powerful reminder of human weakness and the boundless grace of God. He is remembered not as a perfect man, but as a man after God's own heart, whose life of triumph and failure, sin and repentance, continues to inspire millions.
His reign laid the foundation for Israel's golden age, and his psalms continue to be a source of comfort and worship for people all over the world.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life of King David. If you found this story inspiring, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into history.
See you next time.